the soul of the Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066. And GiversPlanet.com. Cayman's online platform for fundraising and charitable donations.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. For the Record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Ort Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees so fair. Today is the 11th day of April 2022, right here in the Cayman Islands. I hope and I trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable weekend. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, whether you are a pedestrian or a cyclist, or if you're operating any type of motorized vehicle, we urge you to please, please, please be extremely cautious. Please ensure that you observe the rules of the road. It is expected that later on today we may have some showers as well, which means that you want to observe the rules of the road as they relate to rainy weather, wet roads as well. Remember, if you observe the rules of the road, then the life that you save may just be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, and happy birthday greetings are going out to Miss Jana Lee Clifford, and they're coming from your brother, Mr. Cassidy Jackson. And I'm sure all of the family members extend their birthday greetings to you also. Miss Jan Lee, 90 years of age today. We want to wish her a happy birthday. As you may know as well, she's also the mother of the Director of Customs and Border Control in the Cayman Islands, Mr. Charles Clifford, as well. So again, happy birthday greetings going out to Miss Jan Lee, 90 years old, and this particular request coming from your brother, Mr. Cassidy Jackson. Those of you who celebrated a birthday over the past few days, we want to wish you a belated happy birthday as well. Those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to express our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing to you as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Ort Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. Beautiful radio voice of Miss Cayman Brack, Miss Susan Watson, waiting to take your calls. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flow. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. Email us at for the record, one word, for the record at candw.ky. WhatsApp us 925-3261, where you can send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. No guests in the studio yet. At 9 o'clock, or maybe even before then, we expect to have folks on here giving us an update on the COVID-19 situation in the Cayman Islands, as well as an update on the changes that have been made to the regulations as well. Meanwhile, you would have heard on Radio Cayman's news by Miss Karsla Fuller this morning, talking about suspension of the removal of one subject from a minister being assigned to another, while the minister continues to still hold on to other subjects as well. And I think it spoke to suspension for 2 weeks. I haven't actually received the communique that was sent out in that regard. What I do have is a press release in relation to the fact that the PAC government is committing to reducing traffic congestion from Grand Cayman's Eastern District and being committed to the East-West Arterial. And that came out around about 6-something this morning. But based on what I know so far and what I've heard on Radio Cayman, I am going to first share with you two items that are of interest in regards to ministerial appointments and everything. So our Constitution, Cayman Islands Constitution, Order 2009, speaks to the appointment of the premier and ministers. And when it comes to the appointment of ministers, says that in relation to the appointment of ministers, an appointment of the premier and other ministers, if occasion arises, the governor shall, without members of the cabinet shall each before appoint functions of the premier. Premier shall have such functions as are conferred on him or her under the Constitution, and shall exercise those functions in accordance with the Constitution and any other law, and in the best interests of the Cayman Islands. So the tenure of the office of the premier speaks to that tenure of the office of minister. It says any minister shall vacate his or her office, A, if he or she ceases to be a member of the Legislative Assembly, now Parliament, for any reason other than its dissolution, if he or she is not a member of the Assembly when it first meets after a general election, if he or she resigns his or her office by writing under his or her hand addressed to the governor, or if he or she is absent from the Cayman Islands or absent from 3 consecutive meetings of the cabinet without, in the case of the premier, having given the governor prior notice of such absence, or in the case of any other minister having obtained written permission for such absence from the governor acting in accordance with the advice of the premier. And of course, a minister other than the premier shall also vacate his or her office if the Premier vacates his or her office, or his or her appointment is revoked by the Governor acting in accordance with the advice of the Premier by instruments under the public seal. So, I'll read that one again. A minister, other than the Premier, shall also vacate his or her office if his or her appointment is revoked by the Governor acting in accordance with the advice of the Premier by instrument under the public seal. So that advice would have obviously been given by the Premier to the Governor in relation to the removal of one portfolio from minister as well. Trying to find another section in here. But meanwhile, so we also had reference to the Ministerial Code of Conduct. The Ministerial Code of Conduct in the Cayman Islands was approved by the Cabinet on Tuesday, the 27th of July, 2021. This Code of Conduct reinforces the PACT government's commitment to be people-driven, accountable, competent, and transparent. It sets out standards for adhering to the principle of good governance. It also addresses one of the broad outcomes outlined in the strategic policy statement, which is strengthening good governance for more effective government, and promotes greater accountability within the executive branch. Also, the Ministerial Code of Conduct speaks to the fact that ministers are required. First of all, it says that ministers are required to, before assuming the functions of his, her, or her office, make before the Governor oaths of allegiance and for the due execution of his or her office as prescribed by the Constitution. So that's given that has taken place. Ministers are required to behave in a way that protects the integrity of the decision-making process and upholds the highest standards of propriety, and to comply with this Ministerial Code of Conduct at all times. Members are required to maintain confidentiality in all matters relating to the Cabinet, including verbal discussions, papers, and reports. Members are also required to observe the Cayman Islands Constitution, all other related law, including but not limited to the Standards in Public Life Act as revised and the Anti-Corruption Act as revised. Ministers must familiarize themselves with the public service values and public service code of conduct as set out in Part 2 of the Public Service Management Law or Acts are revised. A minister must not direct or request a public servant to do anything or perform any function that may conflict with the public service values and public service code of conduct. Ministers are expected to comply with the following Nolan principles, the 7 principles of public life. I'm going to pause there because I don't have enough time before a commercial break to share with you those 7 principles, but I will share those with you as soon as we return. So please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Radio Cayman is government-owned. Radio Cayman's first broadcast was in Easter of 1976. We officially began broadcasting in December of the same year. We used to end our broadcast day at 11:30 p.m. and signed off for the night. Years later, we began broadcasting 24/7. Radio Cayman is a hybrid of community, public, and commercial radio. Radio Cayman offers news, talk, and music. And our sister station, Breeze FM, which was started in the 80s, offers music and news headlines. Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vamt Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vamt Motors, Walkers Road.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. No guests in the studio. We will have guests later on during the course of the show, and we will be discussing be given a COVID-19 update for the Cayman Islands as well. So I have been provided with a Facebook post issued by the office of the Premier, or purportedly issued, I would say. These days, anything can happen on social media. It says, and this was 7 hours ago, effective Monday, the 11th of April, 2022, the Ministry of Home Affairs will be reassigned to Minister Sabrina Turner following Minister Bernie Bush's recent infringement of Section 55 of the Constitution and breaches to 2 sections of the Ministerial Code of Conduct. The PACT government adopted a Ministerial Code of Conduct on July 27, 2021, and in so doing made a commitment to not only uphold the Code of Conduct, but to accept consequences if the code was breached by a minister. So I shared with you a part of the Constitution that speaks to the appointment of ministers. And Section 49, subsection 5 of our Constitution speaks to the fact that after his or her appointment, the Premier shall advise the Governor to appoint the other ministers. So the appointment of other ministers, that is done on the advice of the Premier to the Governor. Now there, in the Facebook post, it speaks about breaching Section 55 of the Constitution. And let's see where... says the Governor shall, acting after consultation with the Premier, assign or delegate to the Premier or any minister by tourism speaks about that. I don't want to speculate on what particular section of what particular part of Section 55 may have been breached. Have to do more research on that as well. But before we went to the commercial break, I was sharing with you the Nolan principles as the 7 principles as set out in the Ministerial Code of Conduct for ministers in the Cayman Islands. And that ministers are expected to comply with the following Nolan principles. The 7 principles of public life. 1, selflessness. Holders of public office should act solely in terms of the public interest. 2, integrity. Holders of public office must avoid placing themselves under any obligation to people or organizations that might try to influence their work in an inappropriate manner. They should not act or take decisions in order to gain financial or other material benefits for themselves, their family, or their friends, or other connected persons. They must declare and resolve any interest and relationships touching on their public office. 3. Objectivity. Holders of public office must act and take decisions impartially, fairly, and on merit, using the best evidence and without discrimination or bias. Number 4, accountability. Holders of public office are accountable for their decisions and actions and must submit themselves to whatever scrutiny necessary to ensure this. 5. Openness. Holders of public office should act and take decisions in an open and transparent manner. Information should not be withheld from the public unless there are clear and lawful reasons for doing so. Honesty. Holders of public office should be truthful. Leadership. Holders of public office should exhibit these principles in their own behavior. They should actively promote and robustly support the principles and be willing to challenge poor behavior whenever or wherever it occurs. If there is an allegation that a minister other than the Premier has breached this code, and the Premier, having consulted the Attorney General and the Cabinet Secretary, feels that it warrants further investigation, he or she will inform the Governor of the matter. The Attorney General will, as soon as practicable, refer any allegation that the Premier has breached the code to the Governor. If a minister is the subject of an official investigation into a matter or case of serious impropriety or alleged illegal behavior or of a serious nature, the Premier may require that minister to go on leave, and the Governor, acting in accordance with the advice of the Premier, may appoint a person who is an elected member of the Parliament to be a temporary minister or assign responsibility for the performance of the function of that minister to another minister, including the Premier. So that paragraph that I just shared with you there, that appears to be what has played out in this instance over the past few days. It goes on to speak about conduct of ministers. Ministers act in a number of different capacities, namely in a ministerial capacity, making decisions and determining and promoting policy with particular ministries and portfolios. B, in a political capacity as an elected member of the Parliament representing the best interests of the Cayman Islands as a whole, as well as the constituency or particular community interests, and in a personal capacity as an ordinary citizen as well. In all their roles and at all times, ministers are required to act lawfully and to behave in a way that upholds and is seen to uphold the highest ethical standards. Ultimately, ministers are accountable to the Premier for their conduct and may, in accordance with the Constitution, have their appointments revoked or ministerial responsibilities reassigned. Holding ministerial office is regarded as a full-time occupation and is remunerated as such accordingly. Folks, top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. When we return, the phone lines will be open, and we welcome your calls, questions and suggestions. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Foster's is 7:59.
This Easter, make it all about eating better with Foster's.
Make it easy with our all-new Easter dinners, prepared fresh by our deli team.
First, choose your main from Escovitch snapper, Cayman-style beef, maple glazed ham, and smoked jerk pork shoulder.
Then customize it with your choice of sides and desserts. Plus, every order comes with dinner rolls and coleslaw.
And the best part? All you need to do is serve and enjoy.
Order yours online from $94.99 at fosters.ky/Easter.
This Easter, make it Foster's. Better because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. A breach of the PACT government's ministerial code leads to the reassignment of the Ministry of Home Affairs. Sunday night, the Premier announced that the Honourable Health Minister, Sabrina Turner, would be taking over responsibility for Home Affairs from today, following the Honourable Minister Bernie Bush's, quote, recent infringement of Section 55 of the Constitution and breaches of 2 sections of the Ministerial Code of Conduct. His conduct and comments relate to the, quote, staffing of the fire service and are infringements to both documents. The Premier has also required Mr. Bush apologize for his conduct to the Governor, Deputy Governor, and the former Acting Chief Officer in the Ministry of Home Affairs. He will be subject to 2 weeks unpaid leave, effective April 18th. Mr. Bush, in a written statement, says this has been a valuable lesson and he accepts the consequences of his actions. The PACT administration recommits to tackling traffic from the eastern districts. Government says work is progressing well on the east-west arterial, with work done on Phase 1 from Hurst Road to east of Woodland Drive. The team is also working through the environmental impact assessment process for Phase 2, which will inform the design and construction from Woodland Drive to Frank Sound Road. Government has also made progress with roadworks to relieve bottlenecks at Grand Harbor Roundabout, and works have started to expand the number of lanes on the Linford-Pearson Highway from the Agnes Way Roundabout to the Bobby Thompson Way and Smith Road area. The PACT administration says it's taking an holistic approach to traffic and ground transportation by improving road infrastructure, transforming the system of public transport, reducing the number of cars imported each month, and encouraging new behaviors such as carpooling and increased use of buses. A deep ocean explorer and environmentally conscious business strategist has been selected as the keynote speaker for the National Trust of the Cayman Islands' Conference Day in celebration of its 35th anniversary. Here's Radio Cayman's Shanda Gallego with more.
Hosted at the Grand Cayman Marriott Beach Resort, attendees will experience an interactive conference day dedicated to inspiring passion and action through thought-provoking educational talks by both local and international guest speakers, including Fabien Cousteau, a deep ocean explorer, environmentally conscious business strategist, and grandson of famed explorer Jacques Cousteau. Fabien continues to fulfill his family's legacy of protecting and preserving the planet's extensive and endangered marine inhabitants and habitats. He says our natural environment is our life support system. To cherish and to protect it is to invest in our children's future. Island nations are the frontline benefactors from the results of our decisions and therefore must lead the way for a better tomorrow. The conference will not only focus on current sustainability and national pride, but also what the future holds. Attendees will hear from Fabien, who will be presenting via Zoom. Members of the public, industry leaders, and high school students are encouraged to take part in the event taking place April 19th from 9 a.m. until 4:30 p.m. Tickets are $100 for those in person, $50 for those on Zoom. Shanda Gallego, Radio Cayman News.
Now with the check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has said Russia's siege of Mariupol has destroyed the city and is likely to have killed tens of thousands of people. In his latest address to a foreign parliament, President Zelensky told lawmakers in South Korea of desperate conditions in Mariupol as Russian forces concentrated troops for a new offensive in the area. France's ambassador to Ukraine says 15 French police officers have arrived in the country to help their Ukrainian counterparts investigate suspected Russian war crimes committed around Kyiv. On Sunday, Ukraine's Prosecutor General said the bodies of more than 1,200 people have been found in the Kyiv region since Russian forces withdrew. Pakistan's parliament has chosen Shehbaz Sharif as the new Prime Minister at a turbulent session in Islamabad. The election was held after Imran Khan was ousted in a no-confidence vote at the weekend. The number of people killed in a series of raids in Nigeria's Plateau State has risen to more than 135. Gunmen on motorbikes attacked villages in Kanam local government area on Sunday. 2 weeks of campaigning are beginning in France after Emmanuel Macron and Marine Le Pen made it through to the second round of the presidential election. Mr. Macron won the first round. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com. Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the people's station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
Attention parents and guardians. Any child who is 5 years old by 31st August must be enrolled in an approved educational program, including government, private, or homeschooling program. Registration for the 2022-23 academic year begins on 1st April. Applications received before 1st April will not be considered. Detailed students' registration guidelines and forms are available on the Department of Education Services website at www.schools.edu.ky or by emailing edu.registration@gov.ky.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning, everyone. Hello? Hello? Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Okay, I see we have just about everyone, and of course Tom drops off, as per usual. Let's just wait a minute here. He always comes right back, and we're almost ready, and... oh, whoever's dog that is, please go on mute. Why won't it let me share my screen? Okay, looks like we're ready to start.
We're like a video conference with no technical issues. CG Britcay. Good like that.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 81 degrees. Relative humidity is 73%. The barometric pressure is 29.99 inches and rising. The wind is out of the east at 15 knots. Overnight low temperature was 78 degrees. Synopsis indicate fresh to strong easterly winds and rough seas will continue across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours as a high-pressure system builds over the southeast United States. Satellite images show scattered low clouds over the Cayman area moving towards the southwest. Now the forecast for today calling for partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers, and temperatures will rise to the low 80s. Winds will be east to northeast at 15 to 20 knots with higher gusts, and seas will be rough with wave heights of 5 to 7 feet. Small craft warning is in effect for today. And for tonight, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a 30% chance of late night showers, and temperatures falling to the mid-70s tonight Winds will be east to northeast at 15 to 20 knots with higher gusts, and seas will be rough with wave heights of 4 to 6 feet. Small craft should exercise caution over open water for tonight. We're presently at a high tide, and the next low tide will be this afternoon at 12:54, and a high tide again this evening at 6:44. The sun will set this evening at 6:41 and will rise tomorrow morning at 11 minutes past 6. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Wednesday morning.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning, everyone. Hello? Hello? Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Okay, I see we have just about everyone, and of course Tom drops off, as per usual. Let's just wait a minute here. He always comes right back, and we're almost ready, and... oh, whoever's dog that is, please go on mute. Why won't it let me share my screen? Okay, looks like we're ready to start.
We're like a video conference with no technical issues. CG Britcay. Good like that.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Top of the morning to you. Let's take a look at what's happening on our roads. Coming from the east, a lot of patience needed this morning as you head on down to Georgetown. On the Linford-Pearson Highway, traffic is bumper to bumper. Coming off of the Linford-Pearson Highway on Agnes Way, also busy traffic. And traffic busy coming off of Bobby Thompson Way. And on Crew Road heading to Georgetown, traffic is busy as well. And eastbound traffic on Crew Road moving along pretty good. Moderate flow of traffic in both directions on Eastern Avenue and Godfrey Nixon Way. As we look to Shedden Road, not looking too bad as traffic flowing nicely. On the West Bay Road and from the Ritz, traffic is moderate in both directions. And busy traffic coming off of the Esley Tibbetts Highway. And on Northtown Road, traffic is steady but flowing, and some sections moderate. That's what's happening on your roads. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12 o'clock. We'll give you another traffic report. Remember, click it or check it. Have a good morning.
Subway makes it easy for you to stay on top of your health and wellness goals with our Fresh Fit menu options. Choose from 5 Fresh Fit Subway sandwiches with only 450 calories or less per 6-inch sub. Turkey breast, veggie, oven roasted chicken, Black Forest ham, sweet onion chicken teriyaki, or make your 6-inch Fresh Fit sub into a salad or wrap prepared with fresh vegetables. For a full menu and nutritional information, visit subway.ky. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Throughout the history of pageantry, we've seen strong women represent the Cayman Islands on the international stage. They have gone on to create their own businesses, serve in public office, and continue to give back to our islands. Today, we are looking for more Caymanian women like these, who are strong, intelligent, and wish to give back to our community. If you wish to take part in the Miss World Cayman Islands pageant and to go on to represent the Cayman Islands at the Miss World pageant in 2022, please contact MissWorldCayman@gmail.com.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. Still No guests in the studio yet. No one expected until 9 o'clock. So the phone lines are open for you to call in and to ask questions, make comments, anything that is fit to be spoken about on radio. I do believe we have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Rosie. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you?
Great, thank you. I hope this is fit to be spoken about. But I have quite a few friends and people I know that are still struggling with the employment issue locally.
Uh-huh.
And of course, looking at the numbers, it doesn't make sense when you look at how many people are unemployed compared to how many work permits are granted or even pending.
Right.
But there are factors that businesses or owners take into consideration when making that decision. And two of those, I think, are putting Caymanians at a disadvantage when they're being considered for employment. One of them is the possibility for an employer to take out a 6-month permit for a worker from overseas, but without the requirement to pay pension for that 6 months. And many of our jobs are seasonal, as you know. So they may only need them for 6 months, and then next year they bring them back for another 6 months.
Right.
But just the fact that they don't have the additional cost of pension puts the Caymanian who would have to be paid pension at a disadvantage, whether it's a couple of $100 a month or whatever. The business owner is looking at that. And the second point is similar, but it relates to insurance. There's sort of an imbalance there because someone, John Brown, comes from whatever country in the world, rightfully looking at job opportunities, that's all good. But when he's employed alone, his health insurance is for him alone. But if John Ebanks or John Smith from Cayman applies for the same job and he's married and has 1, 2, 3 children, guess what? His health insurance payment by the company and by himself will be probably double, triple what the employee with no health, with no family health insurance required would cost. So those two things alone could set back the comparison anyway. A Caymanian candidate, hundreds of dollars, could be near $1,000 depending on his, the size of his family, his age, his health, all those other things.
Yeah, and another hidden factor in that also is that person who requires a work permit, you don't know whether or not, if they do have dependents here, family members as dependents, what may be agreed with their employer. The employer may in fact be paying health insurance for their family members as well, I guess, depending on what capacity they may be employed in, which again may put them at a distinct advantage. Not to say that a Caymanian, when negotiating a position and a job and a salary, may not try to have their family members included on their insurance as well.
Exactly. And as you say I know, of course, you were the chief immigration officer for many years, so you know these things better than I do. Speaking of those things as well, there are other hidden costs. Many families, even education, many families who come here from another country, again, rightfully and legally seeking employment, they negotiate with their company to cover the costs not only of their family's health insurance, but education as well, private schooling, because by law or policy, they are not allowed to send their children to government schools. So they have to pay premium costs for private schools, and their company usually covers that cost. And the other thing I would like to add to encourage candidates or people seeking employment to learn to negotiate, because there's no reason why a Caymanian can't negotiate for some of those things as well.
Right.
Because often, or sometimes, I guess, a Caymanian at a job 10, 20 years might find a new employee come in that he probably has to train anyway, who is getting more in salary and benefits than he is.
Yep.
So Caymanians have to learn to negotiate, not just up front, not just on their hiring, although that is critical, but also, you know, after 5 years on a job, you're supposed to sit down with your HR, your manager, and say, hey, we need to talk about my future with the company. But, Caymanians need to look out for themselves better. But I think something, as I said, that is disadvantaging some people I know is the family. If somebody is sick in their family, if they have 2 or 3 children, all those things are looked on negatively by the company's HR, usually.
Mm-hmm.
So those are imbalances that need to be addressed somehow. Of course, I'm not giving a solution, but I think that they need to be examined and some type of equity worked out where you don't look at a man, you know, or a woman who has 3, 4 children as a liability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at least you know you're identifying the problem, which is one of the first steps. That if you don't know that there's a problem there, then you know you really can't come up with any solutions. Now you would have. I'm not sure whether or not you would have heard my position in relation to temporary work permits, but do you have a position on the issue of temporary work permits? Because my take on it is that if a person is here on a work permit, temporary work permit for 3 months or for 6 months, and that post has to be advertised later on for a full work permit, annual one, that person who is already in the post on a temporary has a leg up on any other person applying, you know, for it. So shouldn't temporary work permits mean exactly what they say, what it says, temporary?
Definitely, and that is, of course, the easiest way. Most everyone knows they're granted easier and faster. So if you want someone, even if you intend to have them here for a couple of years, usually the first step is get them in on a 6-month permit or a 3-month permit, and then, as you said, advertise the full-time position, and by that time they're familiar with the job and they usually have the preference.
Yep.
But as you said also about the temporary permits, I think that they should not be allowed at all for the tourism industry unless it's a highly specialized position.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because tourism is seasonal.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw this happen first when the Hyatt Regency opened years back.
Yep.
And they imported hundreds, I think there were hundreds of people from Ireland and other countries.
That's correct.
During the high season, and which was their low season. And guess what happened when our low season came? Well, that became their high season, so they all went back home to work in their high season again, so they're getting the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't think that 6-month permit should be offered in tourism at all, unless it's a highly specialized position or someone that's definitely only a temporary fix.
Yep.
But the final thing which I'd like to leave you with is relating to property ownership as well.
Uh-huh.
This is a hot button, I know, and rightfully so, because we have very limited land mass. But I think it also needs to be reviewed or re-examined, the requirement to link property ownership to PR and status grants. Because what that does is, as soon as someone makes up their mind that I may like to live here the rest of my life, the next step is they go and find a piece of property. Because that is, of course, one of the critical requirements in being granted residency or status.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have an investment. Which I think that disadvantages a lot of the regular local people looking for property. So I think we need to re-examine whether that property ownership should be linked to the grant of permanent residence or status.
Okay.
But again, you know more about immigration than I do, so maybe you can...
Yeah, I will certainly opine on that, at some point, hopefully during the course of this show as well. I want to thank you. Thank you very much for that. Very thought-provoking ideas and points of view that you have as well. And like I said before, you're identifying the problem, and that is, in order to solve problems, we have to know what the problems are to begin with. We do have another caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C. Billy Sinamba.
Hey, good morning, Billy. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I was just listening to the last caller. I mean, he's made so many good points.
Yes.
I would have wanted to comment on them, but maybe I'll reserve that another time.
Well, I tell you what, you'll have about 6 minutes. We're going to go to our break at 8:30, so you can talk until 8:30.
Okay, well, yeah, but thanks for that, and I'll try to make the most of it and good use of it. Well, first of all, let me let me say something. I read the news about the Honorable Bernie Bush and the suspension and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you always sometimes want to hesitate to comment on issues like that. I mean, these are leaders in the community. Mr. Bernie Bush has been an MP now, I think, for quite a while, and he's served his people well. And he's been very passionate, I think, about talking things relating to Caymanians. But what has happened, I think, is first of all, the Premier must be commended for doing what he did. He made a promise. They've got a code of conduct for ministers, and he has not wasted time to say, well, look, this is a member of my government. He has been doing otherwise well, but he has made a mistake here, and I will not hesitate to take certain measures. So the Premier must be commended for that. Just as a passing comment, in a lot of other countries, as you are aware, he would have been gone. Okay, he would have not just suspended. In a lot of other governments, he would have been gone. But I think the punishment fits the crime, and also takes into account the need for a stable government.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
At the end of the day, and I think you are not talking about somebody who has serially done that. I mean, the punishment fits the crime. Put it there, and so on. And I think all interests have been taken care of. Now, the other thing, talking about appointments. Okay. In the last 2 to 3 weeks, we have seen the appointment of Justice of Sharon Ralston as Ombudsman. I mean, that has been great. I personally sent her a message as well, congratulating her together with other people. But you see, for the question for me, I asked, and I doubt that I have expressed this to you before, but maybe I might have. To me, it seems to me that they decided to disrespect Ms. Ralston despite her eminence in the community. And then after that, appointing her. I mean, initially, according to what I understand, she had applied for the job as ombudsman.
Right.
Yeah, she had applied for that job, and they didn't give it to her then. Why didn't they give it to her then? Or maybe one or two of the others who had applied, why didn't they give it to her then? I think she was always eminently qualified. And this is the thing that worries people in Cayman, in the sense that, you see, it is like when you are a Caymanian and you know the local society, you know the local system, that doesn't count for anything. And yet if you come from somewhere else, the fact that you come from somewhere else counts for a lot, you know?
Yeah, that in itself. Never mind your qualifications or anything else. The fact that you've come from somewhere else.
Exactly, you know, and that is the problem. So, and we all know. I mean, it was publicly reported about how later on she was appointed deputy, and then she shunted off to work, and then she came back. Her job was taken by somebody who was working remotely, and so on. And according to the Chirping Birds, there was a dispute which was developing there, and the appointment may well have been influenced by the dispute. And the question I ask is, why didn't they do it the first time? And I think you can say the same thing also about the appointment of Randy Rankin as Chief Fire Officer. There were always issues that he was qualified from the very beginning. And then they passed it, they gave it to this person from the UK who only has 3 O-levels and didn't really meet the paper requirements. But you know, there are people who are exempted from paper requirements depending on where you come from. And the issue became a public scandal. It was talked about on different talk shows, and then it was written about, and then finally that's when they gave him the job. Again, why did they have to disrespect him first? And why didn't they give him the job initially? Apparently he was qualified from that far back. And finally, there's the issue of the human resources officer. You remember that case human resources officer in the Department of Education, where two Caymanians with master's degrees, 10 years experience, exactly. They were not appointed, and they appointed somebody who didn't even have a first degree, only had something which in the English system they call a diploma, which is similar to an associate degree. And then that person, I believe, brought a judicial review, but eventually it was settled. So with all these three appointments, why do Caymanians have to work so hard to be appointed? Why can't they be appointed the first time? As soon as they apply, you look at what their qualifications are and you appoint them. And I think I don't know what kind of human resources audits they have in government, because these are things which should be able to come out to say, well, why didn't you appoint this one before, instead of waiting until you sort of it becomes a public issue. I thought that's very, very important. Well,
okay, before you go, we're going to take the break, but before you go, I just want to make one comment. I wonder where the impetus came from in relation to sanctioning Minister Bush on the issue. Now, I think speaks to the fact that he may have contravened the Ministerial Code of Conduct sections 2 and 3, 2.62 and 3, I believe, and also section 55 of the Constitution. Now, I have no doubt that many persons out there in the public, members of the public, are happy in terms of what Minister Bush did in, outing, in bringing the situation on the public platform. And I wonder whether or not, based on the toes that he may have stepped on in relation to this, whether or not it is coming from the public service side of the fence as opposed to Minister Bush and his colleagues' side of the fence. When I read about read those particular sections of the Code of Conduct for Ministers, and when I look at Section 55 of the Constitution, and Section 55 basically talks about ministerial responsibilities and the governor's responsibilities, and I'm in reading between the lines, I believe that what they're saying there is that he may have trespassed over into some area of responsibility that may have been the governor's or the deputy governor.
Yes, certainly he would have done that. In fact, there's a broader point here. I mean, how much orientation is there for ministers when they come in? I know that sometimes these may be questions of personalities, but also how much orientation is there for them to be able to understand this. For example, you have cited some sections now which are very important, but I can add to that Section 22 and 23 of the Public Service Management Law, which makes it very, very clear that there must be no political interference from a minister or minister of the Legislative Assembly. You are aware of that. You used to be chief officer. So that, to me, I think all these things have to, it is also partly the training that is necessary, and perhaps this might have been avoided. But, well, it has been dealt with, and I hope that it results in a good overall going forward.
Yeah, and the mere fact that he has accepted responsibility and has issued his regrets and everything, as well.
It was also very good to see, so that, that is now in the past.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you very much, Billy.
Again soon.
Take care. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, K-Man.
JN Money touchdown. Send the money now. Reach wow. You say you need some money, JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use your money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we a pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we a pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
Every day in the Cayman Islands, nonprofits and their volunteers work tirelessly, improving our communities and the lives of the people within them.
With GiversPlanet.com, you can make a difference by supporting a fundraising effort or starting your own. Givers Planet provides an online solution to conveniently raise money for your worthy cause. Whether you are fundraising for medical needs, education, animal welfare, youth programs, religious missions, school PTA efforts, or a nonprofit.
Simply create your fundraiser at GiversPlanet.com and spread the word to your local and international supporters so that they can visit and make a secure online donation. Start fundraising online today with GiversPlanet.com.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. One of our listeners wrote to me earlier this morning on WhatsApp and said, good morning, Mr. Connor and the Cayman Islands. I would like to start the week out on a positive note, sending kudos to the Health Services Authority on the new pharmacy on Smith Road. It is modern and efficient, well-staffed now, and getting in and out is a breeze. Clean, modern, and efficient. Well done, HSA. So, kudos to the Health Services Authority on that. And I think you would have heard I'm not sure if it was the pharmacy manager and some of the staff representatives with Sterling Duane Banks talking about the facility as well. Ms. Susan, do we have any callers? No callers. So, again, I'm going to go back to this issue with the suspension of the minister, because I think it is important that we understand exactly what was said. So the Premier said that's contravened the Ministerial Code of Conduct, Section 2.6.3, and 2.6.3 talks about objectivity. And it says that holders of public office must act and take decisions impartially, fairly, and on merit, using the best evidence and without discrimination or bias. So that is what is quoted there in relation to that. And then, of course, Section 55 of the Constitution speaks about the special responsibilities of the governor. Governor shall be responsible for the conduct subject to this Constitution and any other law of any business of the government with respect to the following matters: A, defense; B, external affairs, subject to subsections 3 and 4; C, internal security, including the police, without prejudice to Section 58. Goes on to say that the appointment, including the appointment and on promotion or transfer, appointment on contract, and appointment to act in an office of any person to any public office, the suspension, termination of employment, dismissal, or retirement of any public officer, or taking of disciplinary action in respect of such an officer. The application to any public officer of the terms of conditions of employment of the public service, including salary scale, allowance, leave, passage, and pensions for which financial provisions has been made, and the organization of the public service to the extent that it does not involve new financial provisions. And it goes on to say that about the governor may be able to, acting after consultation with the premier, to assign or delegate to any member of the cabinet by instrument in writing and such other terms and conditions as he or she may impose responsibility for the conduct on behalf of the governor of any business in the Legislative Assembly with respect to any of the matters listed, in that section 1. So again, I can only believe that it relates to section 55, subsection 55 1D of the Constitution. I believe that that may have been what was breached. We do have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Go right ahead. We're hearing you.
Hear me, Mr. O.C.?
Yes, I am.
All right, good morning, sir. Okay, I just want to go back to 2 callers ago.
Okay.
Okay, talking about the job problem in Cayman.
Yes.
Well, I have a little solution that I keep on, again, chanting this solution until the government takes it up in hand and to do something about it. Okay, my solution for this is to create some kind of succession planning. Because we need that. We need succession planning, right? And the way to create that with the permit people, we can have push the rollover policy. When you roll over, you go for a year, no, move that to 6 years. So they would have to find somebody to come in to train these people. If the job, as the permit board says that we can't find man and suitable to do the job, okay, we brought somebody. You have your 9 years with that person. I think within 9 years, you must be train somebody to do anything that's possible under the sun. So that's my solution for that part about it.
Okay. If I can interrupt you for a second, there is something that is referred to as a Regulation 6. And the board can impose a condition on a work permit that is being issued or a position that is being applied for, that the applying organization seek to identify a person within their organization, or it could possibly be outside organization as well, someone who could take over that position. Not only is it put in writing, but they must also, there's a form that has to be completed where they identify an individual and they report back over a certain period of time as to when that person is ready to take over that job by that individual. Of course, people find various ways of gaming the system. So what we have to look at is ways of tightening that up as well. And I will share more with you as we go along. Hopefully today, if not today, on another day about that Regulation 6.
Yes, sir, but this is who's the watchdog for this project of permit? Because
that would be the board, the particular board who would have placed that condition on the permit to begin with. Yes.
Well, all let me be fired because if they're telling me that we can't find Caymanians to do labor work like pump gas and be couriers and stuff like that, I think they're making us look more stupid than what we ever were.
No, well, it's not necessarily put on every position, that regulation.
No, but I'm not talking about the minimal position, like pumping gas,
yeah,
gas station, a pump attendant, a beach attendant, somebody for do front door service to open the doors.
Yeah.
These are jobs, they do not take rocket science to do them.
But you do realize. You do realize that Caymanians have to apply for these jobs, though, you know. I mean, the other day, I believe that the last job fair that was held, I am made to understand that the attendance at that particular job fair was dismal, much more needed, more to be desired than anything else at that job fair. Now, that may be as a result of people feeling, why should I go through this? You go through it and there are no results. So the people may be fed up with that. But people have to apply for the jobs in order for any board
I know a lot of times
to push for them.
I know people who have applied to certain jobs through the same work and the job fairs and stuff, and they get no communication back. So that would deter me if I tried to get a job through these people, which a system has been set up to do so, and you get nothing from it. So it doesn't make sense. But what I'm saying, the permit thing, if they're going by the law says you have to say you can't find no suitable Cayman for the position. Now you tell him I know guys I have put in work requests for them, Caymanians, to the gas station. And they get no reply.
Wow.
But for the next 2-3 weeks, I see a Filipino or a different expat from different nationality in there. And that's not fair to the Caymanians. So right now, we can fix this, because we're in a position to fix it right now.
Yeah, I agree.
But do they want it to be fixed? That's like the property. We're talking about the property. We cannot go on like this, how it's going on, because what happened to the future generations? We can't have the fix for today and forget about tomorrow. And that's what we're doing. We're forgetting about the people tomorrow, the generational, the future great-grandkids or the stuff of Caymanians that will never be able or afforded opportunity to own land in the Cayman Islands, because it's going to be far and vast out of their hands if there's any left.
So true. Yep.
So we need to do something now, like what Bermuda do, make lease land, do stuff like that, but do not just give everybody land. Or what you do, the expats who are buying up all this land, put property tax on the land for them. Leave the look, because this property tax, that if it should be going in for expats only, that will facilitate a lot of infrastructure work for us that they are also benefiting from. So I believe that anybody who is buying property who is not from the Cayman Islands should be paying a property tax on that land.
Got you. Okay, caller, I want to thank you very much for that. We have to go to a commercial break. We do have 2 callers on hold. We're going to ask those callers to hang in there. As soon as we return, we will take your call, so please stay tuned.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vamt Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vamt Motors, Walkers Road.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
Every day in the Cayman Islands, nonprofits and their volunteers work tirelessly, improving our communities and the lives of the people within them.
With GiversPlanet.com, you can make a difference by supporting a fundraising effort or starting your own. Givers Planet provides an online solution to conveniently raise money for your worthy cause. Whether you are fundraising for medical needs, education, animal welfare, youth programs, religious missions, school PTA efforts, or a nonprofit.
Simply create your fundraiser at GiversPlanet.com and spread the word to your local and international supporters so that they can visit and make a secure online donation. Start fundraising online today with GiversPlanet.com.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We have two callers on hold, as promised, going straight to the phone lines. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, sir. The last caller started off by speaking of succession planning.
Yes.
And I can only think of, or what comes immediately to mind, is the succession planning for the position of the chief fire officer. To the best of my knowledge, the person who is now in that position, the expatriate that is in that position, was brought in specifically to identify and to train up people to take his position.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so far that hasn't happened, and I cannot understand why. But one of the problems, I believe, and I'm speaking hurriedly because I know there's a time constraint. I don't believe that our own people, those that are in charge of this particular situation, really understand succession planning. And the reason I say that is because I heard the deputy governor say once on a radio show that we cannot hold a job for 5 years for a Caymanian. But the truth of the matter is that's exactly how succession planning works. I remember hearing your caller there, Billy, once, speak of the country that he's from. His job was identified. The post holder was made to know that we have sent a native away or a national away to train for your job. He will be working with you during the holidays, etc. And when he's finished his schooling, he will come back to take your job. So you know from day one what the position is, and that's how it is supposed to work. And government has the most amazing opportunity to do that through the scholarship program. And it's not something that is strange to us. That's how it used to be. When we used to bond our students, you're going away on a scholarship to train for such and such a position. You're bonded to the government for 2 years or 3 years. You come home during your holidays. You work in the chosen field. And when you come back, there is the job. Obviously, the student has to maintain their standards, their grades, because that's a condition of the scholarship anyway. So it's not to say that we're making it easy, but it would certainly ease up on the situation we find ourselves in with our graduates coming back home after government having spent all this money on scholarship. They come home and they can't find a job. They get frustrated and they're leaving. Or we're having a brain drain, you know? So succession planning needs to be re-examined from the highest, from the person in the civil service who's in charge of succession planning. And we need to make a plan to put succession planning back in place. Once upon a time, when the Cayman Islands were a much better place than it is right now, we had succession planning, and we need to revert to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, caller, for that. And I'm going to just add to that. You hear me talk about this Regulation 6 that is in the immigration regulations, and it talks about training and recruitment. So the government, when I say government, I say that in a wide sense, has the expectations, and not only expectations, but they have put it in the regulations in terms of what the private sector is expected to do. Government, Don't set any standards for someone else that you don't want to be held to yourselves. You have to be held to it also. Let's grab another caller. We have 2 callers on hold. Depending on how long one speaks, we may be able to accommodate the other. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC.
Good morning.
Good morning. I just tuned in, but your topic is hot. I tell you, keep passing those rocks. They got shoulder white. Regarding those 2 last callers, I want to agree with them, everything that they said. But I want to make a suggestion or a comment how we want to fix it. The problem that we have, we can make as many laws, but it's like putting a pit bull by the fence to guard your fruits, but you take your mouth and you band it up, and he can't bite. He cannot bite because he can't bark. And nobody's not going to know when he's coming in because, he's not going to know, the people not going to know when somebody's coming in because his mouth band up so he can't say a word. So this is our problem now. The laws that we got in place, we can write them 100 times over and over and over until we use them to the best of our ability to stop creating Corvettes. We will not get in a solution. One of our problems are pertaining to the land. They are allowing all of these foreigners to come in here and buy up all this land. They are overpricing the land. I got a great example. I got a piece of land right in West Bend. Now it belongs to me, right next door to me. It was bought a long time ago, and they only paid $3,000 for it. Now, the land was valued about 6 years ago. It was valued for $150,000.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because it's a foreign developer owned it all this while, the real estate, now they want to sell out the real estate, has now evaluated for $699,000. Now, you got to tell me that our inflation going up that much on land, we all need to become, maybe that way we need to invest a pension in buying land. Because something is wrong.
Or hold on to what we have.
Or hold on to what we got. Because but you see, only if a foreigner owns it, it goes up that value, you know. Your land not going up that value. They're not marking it up that much.
Mm-hmm.
They mark it up so high that you can't come and buy it.
Yep.
Number 2, the next problem is pertaining to work. Until we fix the problem is this cheap labor that we are encouraging here. Not only cheap labor, but the corruption in this cheap labor. But what they're doing, in my opinion, and I've heard it from more than one person, so I can almost I would like to see their contract. But until we put a policy in place that these job contracts that are offered to these people, when they sign their job contracts, should be okayed by Justice of Peace or somebody in a high official, because what they're doing is they're signing 2 contracts. One that is legal that says, yes, we're paying you X amount, and this is all, you meet all the requirements of the law, and then the other one that's on the table that is used up when they get in there.
Mm-hmm.
Until we get people in place and the positions, we can send, I believe if I sent Corwell up there, I would get just as good job as what's going on, because nobody, whether it's personal interest, conflict of interest, or whatever, we have nobody being the gatekeeper. Or, as I said, their mouths are all chained up, so they can't bark.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Ms. Susan. A minute and a half we have. We're going to try to grab the next caller. It's going to be short. But caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O.C.
Good morning, sir.
I'm sorry I couldn't send you an email this morning, but I managed to break my left hip, and so I'm not spinning around too good. But I was disturbed by the early morning breaking news. Being a patriot, I don't know all the facts, but when things are not going right, you know, you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
If you love the island and you want to see it go in a peaceful way, then it touches you.
Mm-hmm.
So I pray to God that they can get that straightened out. And God bless you and your program. And hopefully next week I'll be able to send you an email.
Thank you very much, sir, for that. Yeah. I want to thank that caller. I don't believe that we're in a crisis mode at this point in time. I've received some messages. One person sent me a WhatsApp message and say that maybe this is a time for the opposition to bring a vote of no confidence against the government. Even if they had the numbers to do so, that would not be an advisable thing to do at this point in time. But it is not, I don't think it is a crisis. The minister has accepted responsibility. The minister, to my knowledge, I believe, has apologized and has accepted the punishment that has been meted out to him as well. So I don't believe that there is any crisis at this point in time at all. Not to say that it can be like the snowball as it's rolling down the hill. As it continues to roll, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But I don't believe that is the case in this particular instance as well. Folks, top of the hour, headline news. When we return, we will have guests in the studio, so please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The Minister for Home Affairs has been reassigned. The Premier says the Honourable Bernie Bush's conduct and comments in relation to staffing at the fire service are, quote, infringements of the Constitution and the Ministerial Code of Conduct. The Minister for Health is taking over responsibility for Home Affairs as of today. Ukrainian President Zelensky says Russia is concentrating tens of thousands of soldiers for its next offensive in eastern Ukraine. The president tells lawmakers in South Korea, quote, we need more help if we are to survive this war. Austrian Chancellor Karl Nehammer is due to meet the Russian President Vladimir Putin for talks in Moscow. He will become the European Union's first leader to meet the Russian president since the start of the war. The United Kingdom has warned of a possible use of phosphorus munitions by Russia as fighting intensifies in Mariupol. Ukraine's economy is set to shrink by almost half this year as a result of the war, according to the World Bank. The bodies of more than 1,200 people have been found in the Kiev region, according to Ukraine's prosecutor general. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. As promised, we do have a guest in the studio, and we may be joined by others as well. It's my pleasure to have back in the studio with me none other than the Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Ottilia Newton. She's here to give us an update on the COVID-19 situation in the Cayman Islands. Dr. Newton, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record.
Good morning, OC, and very pleased to be here with you this morning.
Excellent. Great. We know that we have now allowed cruise ships to return to the islands, and so far it appears as if things are going smoothly. We also see from an international standpoint, some areas where cases of COVID-19 are going up. I think I heard something on the news this morning about this particular strain that is out now, and it's how it reacts to the vaccine and things of that nature. So again, things are changing. People in the Cayman Islands are curious to know after a few weeks what the situation in the Cayman Islands will be after a few weeks of having cruise passengers return to the islands as well.
Okay, I see. Thank you very much for the background. Yes, so the cruise ship, they restarted, and so far everything seems to be under control. There is a system whereby we know in advance whether a cruise ship is coming in and it declares that has got some COVID cases on board. Mm-hmm. Now, this is part of the normal health declaration that each cruise ship or any vessel which approaches a port in a country, they have to obey to the international health regulations and the maritime regulations, and therefore they have to do a health declaration before they arrive.
Right.
And they will tell you exactly if they've got anybody on board who is.
Okay. Yeah. Go right ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I need to switch off these things. Sorry.
Okay.
So far we have had no particular issue. Some of the cruise ships which have come to Cayman did have cases on board, but this was all within the limits of the green or yellow or orange.
Right, the infection rates. Yeah.
Yeah, which is the guidance which have been worked out both by CDC USA and by CARFA. And so we use that as a basic guidance, but on top of that, there have been inspections and additional questions. So our port officers, they go on board and they check whether what they are saying is true, basically. On the key point is, besides the amount that the numbers of people that they might have had on the board, there is also the fact that we put a lot of other regulations in place, so that absolutely nobody who is diagnosed with COVID or has got be this symptomatic or asymptomatic, they cannot come on shore. Neither all the close contacts which have been identified. And on top of that, when the tourists come on ashore, if they go inside somewhere, they have to respect the rules that we still have here in Cayman. So they have to wear masks, disinfect their hands, and so on. So far, so good as far as the cruise ship are concerned.
Now, we had some queries over the past few weeks on the show in relation to the tourists, and are they, when they're being transported by, let's say, a bus or taxi, are they required to wear masks under those conditions?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Excellent. Now, the other issue that we have is people still are querying and want to get an understanding of the pre-travel tests that are required. Is that something that is required by the country or by the airlines?
You're talking the airlines passengers or the...
yeah, airline passengers, yes.
No, we... as far as the airline travelers, that depends on what the country of arrival is requiring. So basically, the only things that the airline does is making sure that the travel form and the requirement of the country of destination are fulfilled. That's how we work. So Cayman requires, vaccination and requires the pre-arrival test within 24 hours, plus the filling in of the forms, because we know that tourists who are or people who are non-Caymanians or special work permit, etc. If they are they can come if they are unvaccinated, but then they end up in quarantine, and they all require the within 1 day pre-arrival test. If they are tourists, it's vaccination plus the test. So they all have to fill in the travel form, the travel certificate. This is for the air travel passengers. So basically, the companies they simply make sure that the traveller has got all the right documentation, which is required by the country of destination.
Okay. Now, can we talk a little bit about the recently amended regulation restrictions on visitors to the Cayman Islands? And can we start off with restrictions on all travelers from countries without a vaccination rate lower than 60% for the first dose of an approved vaccine would still have to quarantine?
No, I think that's what has been changed.
Yes.
So in the past, we had this rule which was specific to the Cayman Island, whereby if somebody was coming from a country where the vaccination rate wasn't so high, so it was less than 60%, then, even if they had the one dose of vaccine, etc., they still had to quarantine. That now has been taken away, because when I first arrived in December, I wasn't clear what was the background to this rule, and then it was explained to me that the reason they had put it in was because at the time, obviously, vaccination wasn't very widespread yet, but it was an additional measure to protect the citizen of Cayman, the people in Cayman, from people coming from countries where there was actually a lot of COVID. And that's what it was. And that's where, so rather than, the rule of the vaccination was put in exactly to try to protect, to avoid that people were coming from countries where there was a lot of COVID and very low vaccination. But now we moved on because there is much more vaccine available. So a lot of countries have moved on with their vaccination coverage. But also there is, this rule of looking at how much COVID there is in a country. That has changed quite a lot, because if you look at what is happening at the moment, you have countries like, Singapore or China or the UK or even Germany that have a lot of cases. But these countries also have a very high vaccination coverage. The approach is different because the UK, as you know, they have lifted all restriction, etc. And this is based very much on the fact that they have a very high vaccination rate. And also what they are seeing in terms of hospital admission, severe morbidity or mortality. So this is why the rule of the 60% didn't seem to be as effective as had been in the past, and this is why it's been removed.
Excellent. Okay. So if we look at the other one, restrictions on unaccompanied, unvaccinated children to quarantine, that has been removed as well?
Okay, so the unaccompanied children, that depends on their age. Is it so? Because we have said that the ones up to the age of 12, they take the vaccination status of their parents. So we still, we are looking now at more, where do they go once they arrive here? So we allow them, and if they go, to a household where the parents are vaccinated, so we don't require them to go into quarantine.
Okay. So the release goes on to say that the result of the amendment is any vaccinated person may travel to the Cayman Islands without being subject to quarantine on arrival if, and these are some of the conditions, they complete the pre-arrival test, which we spoke about earlier.
Yeah, the 24 hours, within 1 day, around 24 hours. Yeah.
Complete a medical and travel questionnaire and undergo a medical examination if a customs and border control officer considers it necessary.
Yeah, I mean, this is, somebody could develop symptoms while you are traveling. So if you are visibly unwell, I think it's simply, sensible that somebody has the power to check your status at the airport rather than letting you coming in. And also, it's also for the individual to make sure that they receive the right medical assistance.
Mm-hmm. And I'm told we're going to be joined by Chief Officer Mr. Howell. Wesley Howell will be with us during the course of the show, so I'm sure that he will cover some of these areas as well. The other one has to do with completing and submitting a travel declaration to Travel Cayman no less than 72 hours prior to departing, and providing evidence of the travel declaration when requested to do so by a Customs and Border Control officer. Now, I think people in Cayman are getting so comfortable to the point now that they're also questioning, why do they have to submit, a travel request and all of those things, when we're going to get past that as well.
Okay. So let's ask the people of Cayman to put themselves in my shoes for a moment. Okay. So I'm looking at how it's going here, what we have seen, what we want to achieve, and maybe what we want to avoid. Okay? So we have had, as you probably remember, quite a big wave in terms of cases December, beginning of January. And this was linked very much to the arrival of a second Omicron variant. So it wasn't just the Omicron, the first Omicron which arrived in December, a bit earlier in December, and then we saw this particular variant arriving, etc. Now, the characteristic of this variant is that they are better at transmitting. So once they arrive, they really is like wildfire. It's very difficult to contain. On the other hand, we also seen that there hasn't been a huge increase in hospital admission. We did have a peak, and then, we gone down quite nicely. Today, for example, we have 2 people in hospital. Okay. So these are the positive. So the question you have to ask yourself is, what's happening if I remove everything, I don't check what people are coming in and I allow people to come in without a test, so they might be positive. So I'm going to expect that there is a bit more cases going around. Now, if you look at what is happening in other countries, so you got 2 very different scenarios. You got some countries are pursuing a complete zero tolerance, and that is China, that's your Singapore, that's your Hong Kong, etc. And so what they are trying to do, they really want to stop the circulation of the virus. To be able to do that, they have to go in fairly strict quarantine and massive screening, trying to increase vaccination. So your economy, your services are hit quite hard because people are in quarantine. And then you have the extreme situation on the other side. The UK saying, that's it, I don't want any more testing, any more needs, everybody can come, etc. and what is happening there.
Yes.
So they are having issues with their services too. And this is because if you don't, in not trying to control your spread of this variant, which is spreading very, very easily. Yes, lots of people will have very, very mild symptoms. Lots of people will have no symptom whatsoever. And this is because of two reasons. One, because the vaccination rates is very high. And second, because quite a few people have got the disease, they were infected before. So those are the sort of host adaptation response, which means that you don't have, people are ending up in hospital and they test positive, but they're not ending up in hospital because of the COVID. They end up in hospital for all the reason they are screened, they end up positive. In fact, if you look at their intensive care, it's not very, very high. Okay. They have also gone for the fourth dose to try to protect even people who are, the most vulnerable and so on. However, you still have quite disruption in services, because even if you get it milder, etc., you still floored for a few days, and then the quarantine around you is still there, and this is why. So if you let it almost uncontrolled, take everything away, you are going to get a spread. And you're going to get a spread, which means then that there is still an effect on your services. So what do we do? Yes. I don't think I'm going to suggest even by any stretch of imagination that we go down the road of China and so on, because that would be totally unjustifiable. We have very little at the moment in terms of hospital admissions. We have seen a few deaths. So we are now at, I think, 26, if I remember correctly. This means, and these have been always very vulnerable individuals, mostly unvaccinated, so people who had a lot of comorbidities, where the COVID is like the last push, and and you are over the edge there. Some were vaccinated, but again very, very fragile with these huge comorbidities. We have had a tiny spike in positive tests starting around the 20th of March. So we were on average at about less than 30 positive a day, and we suddenly jumped to 40, 50, just above, and now it's going down again. And it is quite... I've just come back from Trinidad from a meeting organized by CARFA with all the CMOs in the Caribbean, and one of the most striking graphs that one of the presenters showed us was different countries and spiking cases, very often linked to what? To major public events, such as the elections, or a festival, or things like that. So it is very clear we are going to have these sort of things if we, lift everything. And etc. The things I am really less keen to lift is the travel in terms of saying, I don't need the test before I come in, or I don't need to be vaccinated, and so on. Because I know what is going to happen after.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, Ms. Susan. Sorry we went past that break, but it was important for Dr. Newton to keep that train of thought, and to complete that. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
JN Money, money touchdown. Send the money now. Reach wow. You say you need some money. JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash or use your money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank? Yeah. Pay your bills quick? Yeah. Low fees, you know it? Yeah. JN Money, we are pick? Yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank? Yeah. Pay your bills quick? Yeah. Low fees, you know it? Yeah. JN Money, we are pick? Yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Are you feeling sick, but don't feel ill enough to go to the doctor? Ask your pharmacist for advice. Here at West Bay Pharmacy, our pharmacists have been trained to offer helpful, easy-to-understand advice on the treatment of everyday minor ailments for yourself and all the family. Anything from headaches, cough and sore throat, to cold sores, our pharmacists will know when medical help is needed and will not hesitate to refer you to your doctor if your symptoms demand it. Like doctors, our pharmacists have a professional code, which means all personal information you give them will be treated in the strictest confidence. Visit us today at West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Every day in the Cayman Islands, nonprofits and their volunteers work tirelessly, improving our communities and the lives of the people within them.
With GiversPlanet.com, you can make a difference by supporting a fundraising effort or starting your own. Givers Planet provides an online solution to conveniently raise money for your worthy cause. Whether you are fundraising for medical needs, education, animal welfare, youth programs, religious missions, school PTA efforts, or a nonprofit.
Simply create your fundraiser at GiversPlanet.com and spread the word to your local and international supporters so that they can visit and make a secure online donation. Start fundraising online today with GiversPlanet.com.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. In the studio with me, we have Dr. Artelia Newton. We're receiving an update on the COVID-19 situation in the Cayman Islands. Also, we have been joined by Chief Officer Mr. Wesley Howell. Mr. Howell, good morning, sir. Welcome back to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C. Good morning to you and your listeners as well.
Okay. So, Dr. Newton, you were talking about the reason for retaining some of the travel restrictions and everything else, and you use as examples other jurisdictions in terms of what they've done and what we're trying to accomplish here, and at the same time what we're trying to prevent as well. I'm looking at the amendments. Well, before we go there, I'm going to turn the mic over to Mr. Wesley Howell in terms of the Travel Cayman and Customs and Border Control. Yes.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Connor. Again, absolutely. Those folks remain on the front line of the proceedings. Immediately after the regulations changed on Friday, Travel Cayman proceeded to off-board some 162 persons who were vaccinated but were traveling from a country with less than 6%. So they took a LFT test, got their negative results, and they were able to exit quarantine. So that sort of transitioned over into the current regime where fully vaccinated persons traveling from countries with less than 6% are now able to intermingle. So, for example, when the women's Jamaica team came over to play football, they came over in quarantine, and as of the stroke of midnight on Friday night, they exited quarantine after they were tested. So they were able to mingle more with individuals after that point, taking advantage of those regulation changes. So as it goes forward now, only persons who are unvaccinated, who have a connection to Cayman, can now travel. Those persons would still have to quarantine under the supervision of Travel Cayman. In relation to the border, one of the changes in the regulations made it so that the Customs and Border Control officers can use their discretion as to when to interrogate the documents, as opposed to mandatorily having everybody present all the documents to them. Now, that doesn't mean that we're taking it any lightly in relation to ensuring that people are presenting proper documentation to show that they're fully vaccinated, and in the case of other travelers, then their travel declaration or travel request for those that still have to quarantine. Very serious fines in relation to those things, $10,000, 2 years imprisonment. So, but that change does allow us to be a little bit more efficient at the airport on arrival, and our numbers are ticking up in terms of passenger arrivals.
I can imagine. So you speak of unvaccinated, and you say persons with a connection with the Cayman Islands. Can you define that for us?
Yeah, so unvaccinated tourists are still not, visitors are still not allowed to travel here. So persons who are traveling, would be a spouse of, dependent of, grandchild of a work permit holder, PR holder, Caymanian, or Caymanian traveling back and forth. So the travel request process, which is done through Travel Cayman, which involves things like home inspections and those others, still has to be done. That's a little bit more time consuming, so that has a bit of a longer lead time in relation to having those carried through. And then we can speak of the unaccompanied minors, so that's 12, or accompanied minors, 12 and below, or below 12. Those individuals are able to take on the vaccination status of the adults that they're traveling with, and therefore can come. And then the new provisions puts into effect, what happens if an unaccompanied minor is coming to someone here, then they would have to quarantine, and that process is set out as well.
Okay. Now, for if I've been issued with a work permit, I'm overseas, but all my paperwork has been sent, including the fact that I am fully, let's use the two scenarios. One, person is fully vaccinated, and a person is unvaccinated but have been issued with a work permit. How are they treated?
Okay, so the individual who is coming on a first time or coming back on a work permit who is vaccinated, they would apply for a travel declaration. If they were coming from a country that had less than 6% before Friday, then they would have to have done a travel request and had to have isolated, quarantined. That is now gone. So, but now the person who is fully vaccinated comes in, they show their documents, they get the travel declaration, they travel. That's checked, one, by the airline before they board, checked again on arrival by CDC. They exit the airport, and they can then go about their business. No further testing is required by regulations. They can do so if they want to be secure and conscientious. The unvaccinated work permit holder now has to sign. Well, first they would have to do a travel request, which means they need to quarantine. On arrival, they would sign a document which says that they commit to and agree to being fully vaccinated within 40 days. When we hit the 40-day mark, if they haven't submitted documentation, they would be sent mindful to revoke the work permit and request them to bring in any documentation that shows that they're vaccinated. If they're still not vaccinated at that point, then the authorities that work in the boards would proceed to then revoke that work permit. They would then have to depart.
Okay. Now, are there countries still where we don't accept their vaccination certification from? And if there are, what a person applying for a work permit who presents that certification and they have actually had a vaccine, what risks are they being presented with if they're required, or are they required then to take another vaccine dose again because of the fact that we haven't accepted from that particular jurisdiction?
Okay, so let's be clear on this business, why we haven't accepted the vaccine.
Yes.
So all vaccines circulating in the world on the market, they are listed by WHO on two separate lists. Some are just listed and some are approved.
Okay.
So what Cayman government does, accepts only the ones which are approved. The difference between a listing and approved is that the company producing the approved vaccine have gone through a proper process whereby they have presented the data, the evidence of the effectiveness of that vaccine. And so WHO is able, the experts are able to say, yes, that's, we have the evidence that this vaccine is working at a certain level and so on, and therefore we approve it. The ones which are listed, it's simply because the company producing those vaccines haven't gone through the process. Okay. They haven't produced the evidence. So WHO, the only thing, yes, okay, you're producing a vaccine, but we have no evidence on how effective it is. Yes. It might be effective, but, would you like to produce the evidence? That's the difference. So I think any sensible government will say, yes, I'm going for the list of approved vaccines rather than just the ones which are listed.
Okay, now the scenario where that person is seeking a work permit here in the Cayman Islands, and the only thing that may be holding up that work permit is the fact that they have been inoculated with a vaccine that isn't on the approved list. That person is it's almost like a catch-22 situation for them, isn't it? Yeah. Because how long a period of time would they have to wait before they could go through the whole regime again as far as vaccination is concerned? I know I saw something, and this may have been more social media thing, where someone in the UK, they had discovered, had done something like about 90 different tests, for vaccines for various persons.
So the country that's probably most affected by this now in terms of traveling to Cayman is Cuba, because Cuba has, I think, 5 homegrown vaccines that have not yet secured the WHO approval, so they're not recognized internationally, and they're not recognized by us. Yeah. So those persons are still subject to quarantine, even though they may be vaccinated. Now, if they're coming to work in relation to that, there's a matrix that was put up by Public Health England some time now, which essentially said if you had these combination of vaccines that we don't recognize, and you take one booster of AstraZeneca or Pfizer, then we then consider you fully vaccinated. That matrix exists. Dr. Williams at Public Health is aware of that, and he will liaise very closely with those individuals on a case-by-case basis to ensure that they get to a point that is considered fully vaccinated by our standards, by WHO standards.
Okay. We're going to take a commercial break. I know Dr. Newton has to leave us at about 9:45. So, folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
JN money touchdown. Send the money now. Reach wow. You say you need some money. JN money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use a money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank. Yeah. Pay your bills quick. Yeah. Low fees, you know it. Yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at Jane Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
What's that? No sugar, same amazing taste? Coca-Cola Zero Sugar is here to stay. Classic taste, pure satisfaction. Be sure to stop into any Tortuga location and get your own case of Coke Zero. Or grab an ice-cold one straight from the cooler. Brought to you by Tortuga Distributors Limited. Coca-Cola, taste the feeling, Cayman.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vamt Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vamt Motors, Walkers Road.
Radio Cayman News. New regulations to the rules for travellers.
Red Bay Primary is the top school for the 2022 Inter-Primary Track and Field Championships.
Cayman Brac residents meet with the island's newest area commander.
Responsibility for the Ministry of Home Affairs has been reassigned.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
For the record with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Chief Medical Officer Dr. Otelia Newton, also Chief Officer Mr. Wesley Howell. They have to leave us in about 5 minutes, so I want to give them an opportunity for some closing comments as well. But before that, we do have a question in relation to the Cayman Islands, and in terms of us relaxing more of the restrictions, what is it all dependent upon now? What are the variables that have to be taken into account?
So thank you very much for the question, Oret. The key points will remain our vaccination coverage.
Yes.
Because obviously we know the vaccine is very effective against all the variants to prevent severe disease and deaths, except, in those very unfortunate cases where people unfortunately have got a lot of comorbidities and so on, but even there is quite effective. Mm-hmm. Where the vaccine, we do also recognize that the vaccine is not as good with the latest variants in terms of preventing you to get infected. Mm-hmm. This is why but people have to understand that the vaccine is still the only effective tool we have. And therefore, we need to keep going with our vaccination, first dose, second dose, third dose. We are offering now even the fourth dose. The target group is the very elderly, so 75 and over, and anybody on any age group which has got severe comorbidities. But in practical terms, we are happy to provide anybody with a fourth dose 6 months after that they have had their third dose. Mm-hmm. So this is our effort to keep going with that, keep monitoring, keep being sensible with the wearing of the masks inside is still mandatory.
Yes. And
is still, at least for the months, until the new revision of the regulation, and stick to 500 inside, 1,000 outside catering. Wash your hands, be, often, etc. Maintain your etiquette in terms of respiratory viruses, etc. And if you start having symptoms, please do get tested and stay away from others. I think we need to still do that because we don't want to end up in a situation where people get a lot of people get the mild disease, and that still then clogs up our services, and it's not of any use to anybody.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Dr. Newton. Mr. Howell?
Again, just to remind, we've messaged very heavily around the fact that our borders are open. It is open, but there's some processes that need to be done, particularly around the fact that we are still not accepting unvaccinated visitors. So the travel declaration process, which is swift and painless, if you have your My HSA app with that QR code, you can literally get your travel declaration within 2 minutes. If you're using a paper CDC or other paper-based vaccination certificate, that's a manual process, but it's still done within sort of 12 to 24 hours, same-day turnaround. So those things are in place for vaccinated persons traveling back and forth, as are the tests required for entry into the Cayman Islands. Unvaccinated persons now still need to apply for the travel request, which is the request to quarantine. They were quarantined for 7 days, test on day 6 and day 7. If both tests are negative, LFT tests are negative, then they are able to exit quarantine and then go about their business. The other bit is in relation to Customs and Border Control and on the arrivals process.
If you weren't sitting so far away from me, I would swear that you were reading this WhatsApp message that one of our listeners sent, saying, "Good morning, Mr. Connor and guest. Do fully vaccinated Caymanians still have to apply to travel Cayman for a declaration to travel?" And I sent a quick message back speaking to that now.
As with all of our regulations, though, we're always under regular review of those, and where it's scientifically driven and supported to remove them, that's being done in order to move us ahead. So some cases we go a little bit too fast for some people and not quite comfortable with the changes, and other times at the same time actually we have some individuals who are jumping up and down for joy as we move forward. So that particular one may be on the chopping blocks, but we would figure out whether or not the science and the logistics support that in the future, but currently they still have to.
Okay, well, I want to thank both of you for being here and keeping our listeners and our viewers up to date as well. I know you have to be off to your meeting, so look forward to the next time we'll see you in the studio as well. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we will have probably about 10-12 minutes of open lines still for you. Toll-free number 1-800-534-8255. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
The 6:30 p.m. weather report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by CG Britcay. Insurance, health, pensions, life, where people come first.
For the record with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have about 12 minutes left in the show. I want to share with you, those of you who are residing in East End, there's a public service announcement that the East End Health Center's phone lines are currently down. So to reach the health center at this time, you will need to call 916-3607. I'm going to repeat that, right? The East End Health Center phone lines are currently down. To reach the health center at this time, please call 916-3607. They apologize for any inconvenience that may have been caused by this, and they will advise when the line is operational again. So wanted to share that with you. One of our listeners wrote in and said, "Good morning, OC. I know you've over and done with the Bernie Bush fiasco, but I just want to say that while he may have gotten too close to the civil service personnel matters, he's the only minister since the Honorable Mr. Thomas Jefferson that will fight for Caymanians. His problem may be not using tact when it comes to speaking, but no one can touch. I'm not sure I want to read that part of it, but what they're applauding Minister Bush for the stance that he has taken, and while he may have gotten pretty close to a civil service matter, that he appears to be the only one or one of the few who's standing up for Caymanians in the Cayman Islands went wrong, and that he may have touched a nerve. He may have touched a particular nationality nerve in the Cayman Islands. It's quite obvious, for such a precipitous action to be taken that someone took offense to it. Whether or not other options were available to the Premier, like maybe a reprimand, a public reprimand, as opposed to removing one part of the portfolio, or unpaid leave for 2 weeks. Whether or not there were other options available, not sure. But we will see how it plays out as well. We have two callers, so we're going to try to accommodate both callers before we go off the air. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, Osi.
Good morning, How are you?
Very good, yourself?
I'm good, thanks.
Just called to hail you up this morning and ask you how you're enjoying the weather.
Oh, well, yesterday was pretty windy. Now, if you're on a bicycle and you're once you get around Queens Highway and you had that wind behind you all the way out to Caibo, nice. But when you're coming back now, you either had a crosswind or a headwind as well.
Yeah, so you had to push much harder.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. The only issue I'm still having is with the planning department up in the Bronx.
Okay.
They still have nobody up there.
Mhm.
It's we call it. They're talking about virtual inspections. That don't work. Honestly, it doesn't.
Okay. And what does a virtual inspection entail?
It means that the inspector will call once you have a smartphone, but a lot of people, they might have a smartphone, but they don't know how to use it properly and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that they're not educated, because goodness gracious, I know a smartphone. My granddaughter knows better than me, so it goes to show. But you can take and say, well, I'm gonna go to this site and we call it and do this inspection. But how do you know it is that site? I could go to another site that I just got approved by a person being there, and say, this is the site.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that I would recommend for anyone, because you don't know, what is going to take place. And doing virtual inspections, in my opinion, is a pile of rubbish. It's a lazy man's job that can get somebody in problems.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you very much for that. We're going to try to grab the other callers. Before we go, next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Right here, and you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Vernon Bush, Honorable Vernon Bush of West Bay. He made history. But what happened is that everybody didn't get caught in the net one time. And he stepped on some contours, maybe. So, he got the discipline out of it, and a premier, maybe I had no other choice but to do that, maybe to brush it on the, fix it up, make it look good. Because he made his statement that he should still be a good benefit or a good person for us or whatever, what he can do in the sports or whatever. So I think he made history, but unfortunately it ended up the way it is. But it really some things that is going on there within our government departments, and we the people out here or some civil servants just don't have the power to grab these people and give them a good shaking. So like I said, like how they came out there protesting in April 2021, I think our people need to get out there now and take this in hand, because this is going too far. This is going too far, like Miss Macfield. She's been working there and she was good enough to act like, could have been a movie star by now in Hollywood, and she could not get a director position. But
wasn't it said that she chose not to apply for the position? I believe.
Well, Ms. O.C., I really don't know what to say, because right now I get tired of hearing this one when things happen like this. This one didn't want to play, and this one decided to do this, and this one decided to do this, and comes and maybe she's working in another government department, and she can't say nothing too much neither, because her job's going to be online too. Mm-hmm. You understand? And then you got to still leave these Port Authority workers just struggle and maybe even owing them overtime money. And I'm hearing that the crane workers on the port, they're working and the forklifters, they're making the same pay. As far as I'm hearing that they're getting paid from the ships, or we're getting paid from the ships, I don't know, some sort of money or whatever. It's a bag of worms. Marcus is taking over now. I mean, it's sad. It's a sad situation. It's not going to get no better. And no disrespect, that it seems like maybe the higher-ups are taking care of each other. They're covering up for each other. They're fixing up for each other. No, nobody can slap them. Nobody can deal with them. When is this going to stop?
Mm-hmm.
Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. Miss Susan, you want to try to squeeze one more caller in, or? Okay, we're going to squeeze the caller in. The only thing I can say, it has to be very short because we only have 1 minute. We have to be off the air exactly at 10 o'clock. Good morning, caller. Welcome. Okay, that caller isn't there. They hung up. I have received other WhatsApp messages. This one is a complaint about in Bordentown North at Lakeview Drive. There's been a lot of dumping of garbage to the point where the road is being blocked, and this has been going on for a few years. So that might be a good spot for, if there's a light pole or something, or put a light pole up there and put a camera so that the perpetrators can be identified and be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And there was another one in relation to this had to do with a liquor license, but it was pretty long, and I am unable to read all of that at this point in time. So I want to thank you folks for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and of Radio Cayman, and we want to congratulate them and give them all of the credit in the world for producing such an informative show. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to Worthy Charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dweeny Bikes at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health. And JN Money. From abroad to yard. Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066. And giversplanet.com. Cayman's online